Sir, with rampant Israeli airstrikes ravaging Gaza, can ceasefire talks manage to make a breakthrough, or do we have to wait for the inauguration of the Trump administration before seriously anticipating such a development? And what do you expect from the Trump administration, sir?
Thank you for having me, Rana, and Happy New Year to you too, and to the entirety of the Qnews family. Unfortunately, I am very skeptic about the probability of reaching a deal before the inauguration of the administration of President-elect Donald Trump. Unfortunately, Israel is bent on obstructing, as it has done over the past a year and 3 months, any agreement in order to reach a ceasefire and a detainee exchange deal in Gaza. They are trying to prolong the conflict and the human suffering of the Palestinians in Gaza in order to create new realities on the ground that will entail the de facto annexation of parts of the Gaza Strip and the permanent reduction of the territories of Gaza, and making Gaza basically uninhabitable for the people for its local inhabitants, the Palestinians. So I don't think today there were reports that an agreement is imminent, that an Israeli delegation is going to fly to Doha in order to put the last touches on an agreement that can be reached within 24 hours. However, I doubt that this was within reach, and I think that we will have to wait until the inauguration of the new Trump administration. And I think when Trump comes along, he will be interested in finding a settlement. However, it will be with much stiffer and much more harsh conditions for the Palestinians, unfortunately.
What, sir, from your own perspective or your own narrative, could be much stiffer than the situation that we are witnessing today?
I think Trump might obstruct or not apply enough pressure on Israel in order for them to facilitate the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza, especially northern Gaza. The Biden administration did place substantial effort on pressure, on Israel in order for them to allow the entry of humanitarian aid, for example. The Trump administration, I don't think so. They will be much more supportive of Israeli methods of military pressure on the ground, which include the intentional starvation of the population of Gaza, especially the population of northern Gaza. So I think the situation will be much worse. But ultimately, Trump wants a deal. He wants an end to the war. However, he wants an end to the war on even more favorable terms to the Israeli government led by Benjamin Netanyahu. So unfortunately, I see the way forward for Gaza from a very bleak perspective. I do hope that I'm proven wrong. I do hope that Trump surprises us, and he did surprise us on many fronts before. I hope he does surprise us this time.
Okay, sir, so you're more optimistic about the Trump administration than the Biden administration in light of what Biden today...
No. I'm very pessimistic.
You're very pessimistic.
Yes. I hope I'm wrong. That's what I'm saying. But I'm very pessimistic, unfortunately.
Dr. Mohammed, does the Houthis missile strike on Haifa expose Israeli air defense gaps? And could it signal a wider regional confrontation involving Yemen, sir?
Of course, any missile defense system or air defense system, according to multiple military experts, cannot provide complete protection to any given territory, and that applies to Israel as well. Even though they have some of the most advanced missile defense and air defense systems in the world, however, they cannot. They are not impregnable. And missiles can pass through, including missiles and drones launched by the Houthi movement in Yemen. However, on the other hand, yes, I do believe that this will heighten regional tensions and will expand the already multi-front war of aggression that Israel is waging on several fronts in the region, and I think the Israelis will expand and intensify their airstrikes against the Houthis in Yemen. They have diminished and weakened Hezbollah during their aggression on Lebanon. They have destroyed basically or completely diminished the capabilities of Hamas in Gaza. The Assad regime, a key ally of Iran, has fallen, and now they are even acquiring more territories in Gaza and in Syria, and occupying more land without any resistance. And now the only front that is left, or the only cornerstone of the so-called Iranian axis in the region, that is left is the Houthis, and now the Israelis are basically focusing on them. So I wouldn't be surprised if we find much more brutal airstrikes on Houthi controlled territories in Yemen over the next few weeks, especially after the inauguration of Trump, who has a very harsh
Dr.
stance.
Osman, sorry to interrupt you, but before I have to, I have to wrap up this segment. Sir, in an unexpected move, will the approval of $8 billion worth of arms sales to Israel by the Biden administration serve to embolden Israel's ongoing aggression on multiple fronts? And does it serve to strengthen the position of Netanyahu's government given the sheer domestic challenges that are contending with, sir?
Yes, and yes, it will embolden Netanyahu's Israel's government's aggression or aggressive behavior in the region, and it will also strengthen Netanyahu's position vis-a-vis domestic opposition inside Israel. And of course, this humongous arms deal is part of a huge pattern of unlimited and unconditional U.S. military support and political support for the Israeli occupation entity. The United States provided over $20 billion of military aid to Israel since the beginning of its genocidal aggression against Gaza and then Lebanon and Syria. And this trend continued throughout the Biden administration. And now the Biden administration is giving Israel a parting gift, and Trump is even expected to be more generous in this regard. So unfortunately, yes, it strengthens Netanyahu and it emboldens Israel's aggressive behavior.
Okay, unfortunately, sir. Dr. Mohamed Osman, an international relations expert from Cairo. Thank you very much for your valuable information, sir, and your intellectual knowledge and your insights and informative knowledge, sir.